Buddhism was introduced in Tibet in 7th and 8th centuries, right? By three great kings. But there was infighting. By 9th century, 10th century, Buddhism was declining. And it declined in Tibet. Who revived Buddhism in Tibet? Another Bengali scholar, master, Atisha Dipankhi. He went to Tibet and reintroduced Buddhism and brought back Buddhism to Tibet. See, first dictionary, when Buddhism declined, another Bengali guy, what do you say? Bonglo. Bengali is true. Then also Rabindranath Tagore. I meant Rabindranath Tagore, not Vivekananda. Rabindranath Tagore also. He was interested in Buddhism. He established Vishwabharati, University. He made sure that there is a program on Buddhism and also on Tibet. The first program in whole of India was in Vishwabharati. And he also invited Giuseppe Tucci, an Italian scholar. He's an expert in Buddhism, an expert in Tibet, to Vishwabharati. And Rabindranath Tagore had dialogue with him. So he was so interested. And in fact, Rabindranath Tagore went to Kalimpong, met with Tibetans, and interacted with them. So now, if you want to follow Rabindranath Tagore, you better continue his legacy and show interest on Buddhism in Tibet. So, we have many history. So that's one part of the history. These are all good ones. Now, not so good ones. You want to know? So we all know about Panchsheel, right? Agreement between China and India. We all know that. But the origin is, in 1914, similar agreement was signed between Tibet and British India. And then on the side, a trade agreement was also signed between British India and Tibet, so that there will be a trade route all the way from India to Sikkim, Nathula Pass or Kalimpong. There is a Tibet road. It goes all the way to Tibet. And the Kolkatta seaport was also opened. So bring things and go to Tibet. Now it was not Panchsheel. It was just a trade agreement, okay? 1914, it was to be renewed every 10 years. 1914, 24, 34, 44, this trade agreement was renewed every 10 years between British India and Tibet. And in 1947, India got its independence. Yeah? Now this trade agreement has to be renewed. And 1954, Indian government sent the delegation not to Lhasa, not to Tibet to renew it, but they sent them to Beijing. Indian government said, no, we will not renew it with Tibet. We recognize Tibet as part of China. Thoda galti ho gaya. They said, we'll send them to China. And in 1954, after a few months, they renamed the trade agreement and call it Panchsheel. So it's all about friendship, harmony, peace, Hindi China, bhai bhai. So everybody starts slogan, Hindi China, bhai bhai. All over India, हम लोग भाई भाई है, बहन नहीं है. हाँ, तो बहन लोग हमारे साथ आ जाना. हाँ, भाई लोग चीन के साथ जा सकता है. हाँ, तो, but then they wanted to renew the treaty. And India said, now Hindi China bhai bhai hum log dost ho gaya. Let's renew it for 25 years or 50 years. China said, no. Only 5 years. So it's a short time. You want to be best friends, but you want to have only 5 years relationship. Ye commitment is not good. Nahin? Hai na? Marriage is life, forever. And then India insisted. And finally, China said, okay, 8 years. Okay? Now, interesting thing is, when you shake hands with China, when you shake hands of friendship with China, they put their knife in their hands and shake hands with you. Why I say this is, the Panchsheel was renewed. They want to renew it for 5 years, right? So 54 plus 5 is how many years? 50? 59. Right? 59. In 1959, what happened? China occupied Tibet. Now, but the Panchsheel was renewed for 8 years. So 54 plus 8 is 62. 62, what happened? China invaded India. And the army came all the way from Arunachal to Assam. See? You signed Panchsheel. And China said 5 years because they had planned to occupy Tibet and invade India. But India said 8 years. Then, okay, 5 years I occupy Tibet, in 8 years I invade India. See? In the very treaty of friendship, if you read any media coverage at that time about Panchsheel, India celebrated it as the biggest treaty. We are friends with China, you know. And then India recognized China right after signing Panchsheel. 54, India recognized China. In 55, one of the very few countries, first ones to recognize, because China was not recognized by the whole of Western countries. They recognized Taiwan as China. China was isolated, but India said, nay, nay, your friend Panchsheel signed, we recognize you. 1955, remember, okay? So Tibet was occupied. Now, in 1954, when they signed Panchsheel, China said, could you open the Calcutta port for us so that we could bring supplies, arms, ammunition, food from China through Shanghai port to Calcutta port. From Calcutta port, you take all these goods and supplies to Sikkim and Darjeeling to Tibet so that we can provide food for our troops and officials. India said, Panchsheel, we are friends, Calcutta port open. Then the supplies, they took so much supplies, they also had reserve. When they fully occupied Tibet in 1959, why they could occupy Tibet fully? Because they had enough supplies. And when they invaded India in 62, they had enough supplies which came from Calcutta port. Then government of India said, we made a mistake, shut down Calcutta port. As soon as India shut down Calcutta port, you should know, if you read history, China invaded India, Arunachal was occupied, part of Assam was occupied, they came all the way, right? Now, it's interestingly, they invaded in June of 1962. But November of 62, they withdrew, mysteriously. Because Indian army was not able to defend them. They just walked over. Indian army, literally, they ran away because there were not many to begin with. They ran away. But it was always a mystery why they withdrew. After a few months, because they ran out of supplies. See, had they not opened the Calcutta port to begin with, invasion of 62 would have never happened. Had they not signed the Panchsheel agreement with China, invasion of and occupation of Tibet would have been deterred or delayed. Because we ran out of time. We were appealing to international community. But we ran out of time because Chinese troops moved in very fast because they had all the supplies coming from Calcutta. See, Sarat Chandra Das is good, Atisha is good, Rabindranath Tagore is good, Calcutta port. But you can't blame Bengal. It's the government of India who did that. Yes? Now fast forward. Is it 2015, I think? Right? 55 to 2015 is what? 65? Or 60? 60. So, India and China wanted to celebrate 60th anniversary of diplomatic relationship. And Xi Jinping came to India and he visited Gujarat. And Prime Minister Modi ji and Xi Jinping were swinging. They had to swing. And in front of the, what's the river? Sabarmati river. Doklam happened. See? Can you imagine? They're swinging here. We came to celebrate. Doklam happened. Then Doklam settled. Then in 2020, May of 2020, if I'm not wrong, then India, China was celebrating, I think something like 70th anniversary or something like diplomatic relation. And government of India and China were planning for 70 events in China and in India to show their friendship. Hindi, China, bye-bye. What happened? Doklam, Galwan happened. So when you shake hands with China, they come with the dagger, knife ke saath. So president is here. Can you imagine? You want to celebrate your diplomatic relationship. India recognized China. A Chinese president comes here, Galwan comes, and then 113 Indian troops were beaten up, injured. 13 died. And Galwan became a big issue. It became a big news. So, this is what happened with, Tibet and India. Now in 59, His Holiness Dalai Lama came to India and 80,000 Tibetans came to India. And we established Tibetan government exile. It's in Dharamsala now. His Holiness Dalai Lama is in Dharamsala, Himachal Pradesh. And actually I was born and brought up in Darjeeling. Yeah. So I know about, I was born and brought up in a very small village called Lama Hata. Now, I used to always say, Lama Hata Basti is such a remote place. It was very remote. So it was so remote that I used to cut grass for cows, cut wood for, home. And then there were like 4 or 5 Jeep and Land Rovers, very old, cranky ones. So from 7:30 a.m. to 8:30, those 5 they go to Darjeeling. So if you miss those, you come back home. Then you try next day. It was quite remote. So I used to say all over the world, I'm from a remote basti called Lama Hata. But one day I was giving a talk in Simla University. After the talk, someone came from West Bengal and said, no, Lama Hata is not that remote now. It's a tourist place. Mamata Banerjee has converted this into a tourist place, a very famous tourist place. All the Bengali go there. There are a lot of homestays. Yeah. And a lot of them drink chang, tongba. Barley, fermented. All the men are laughing. They say, yeah. Some women are also laughing. Well, the Lama Hata tongba is very good. You know tongba, yeah? Barley drink, no? And momo. Yeah? Who can deny momo? Yes? We all love momo, no? Yeah. Actually, government of India said skill India, employment India. Momo has created more jobs in India than any government scheme. Yes or no? Yes. Yes. So you should be thankful, isn't it? And also the prayer flag. So many people have prayer flag, right? No? In all the cars and bikes. So it means lungda, yeah? Wind horse. It brings good luck. There's Om Mani Padme return. So why there are less accidents in the traffic of Calcutta? It's because of our prayer flag. It's not traffic police, Now, in 59, we established government exile. So, thanks to government of India, they gave us land in remote places. But Tibetans are very hardworking people. We rebuilt all the settlements. Can you imagine? Nearly 3,000 monasteries in Tibet were destroyed. We rebuilt all the big ones in India. Not so in West Bengal, but if you go to South India in Belakopi and Mankod, we have monasteries with 5,000 monks. 5,000 monks. I don't think there's any temple in India with 5,000 priests. Not only one, we have 3 big monasteries. No, 4. Namdruling also has 7,000 monks and nuns. So what China destroyed, we rebuilt. And Tibetan government exile in India, which I ran for 10 years, also have education departments. We run own schools, kindergarten, middle, high schools, and our literacy rate is 96%. India's literacy rate is 82% or 84%. So we are doing better than the host India even though our education is subsidized by the Indian government. So, as I was introduced as someone who did master's degree at Harvard and doctorate degree at Harvard, and I got all this degree, and I got job at Harvard also. I'm a senior fellow, and I'm also a lecturer at Harvard Law School now. I was making good money. I left my job in 2011 to come work for Tibetan government exile to be with Dalai Lama. मेरा तनख्वाह कितना है मालूम? हाँ, 37,000 rupees. नाम है प्रधानमंत्री, तनख्वाह है पोस्टमैन से भी कम. Because it's not $37,000, okay? Rupees. Why? Because this is a labor of love for me. I left my job at Harvard. I came to Dharamsala, 37,000 rupees a month. By the time I left, I increased it to 53,000 rupees a month. That's all you get. So now, it's not that common. Huh? Someone will leave a job in America and work for nothing. This is a labor of love. This for us is a cause. So you do that. And then we also have foreign ministry. We have 13 embassies around the world in Washington, D.C., everywhere, right? And we have finance ministry. We collect donations from Tibetans. We fund. And by the way, our government exile is the most conjuice government anywhere in the world. Our annual budget is only 400 crores or less, only 400 crores. We run 113 schools free. We run 13 embassies around the world. We run around 13 hospitals and maybe 60 or so clinics with doctors and nurses. For every 1,000 Tibetans, we have one doctor and two nurses. And India is 1 lakh, one doctor. Ours is 1,000, one doctor. For 400 crores. So if any government wants to know how to save money, West Bengal government, we can be the best consultant.
Yes.
So in 2011, when I ran for election, our votes are, Tibetans are scattered in 33, now 40 countries. All of them vote on same day. You don't vote on same day, vote not counted. Very strict. But then our voter registration has been increasing from 57% to 67% to 77%. Every 5 years, our voter registration is increasing and voter participation increasing. We are the only community in the world where registration and participation increasing, and rest of democratic countries, registration is decreasing, participation decreasing. Today, our parliament is in session in Dharamsala for 2 weeks. What is the most watched show in the Tibetan world? Not Netflix, not the movie, what was the letter? Sanyara, not Sanyara, not Bhagi 4 or Prem Sundari. But Tibetan parliament debate is the most watched show. So Tibetans are that committed. We want to know what parliaments are doing. Because there's a bit of drama, there's debate. But debate is not as aggressive as Bangla debate. Okay, Bangla assembly, not aggressive Bangla. Or even parliament. Tibet is still quite polite. And we have our own cabinet. We meet every twice every week. So my point is, Tibetan government exile is the most efficient and effective government and exile compared to any communities. And our result is far better. Now, okay, talking about election 2011, when I ran for election, many of you are faculty members here, right? When I ran for election, I had very less chance of winning because I have never worked in the government as bureaucrat or a parliamentarian or nothing. And other candidates were former prime minister, okay, and the most senior minister, speaker of the parliament, the deputy speaker, and the personal secretary of Dalai Lama. They were running. मैं तो एक छोटा सा छोकरा, no experience, and I ran. Then I beat them. But we have 2 rounds of election. So the former Prime Minister, I told him, he was in America. I told him to come to India. Let's visit people and let's have debate. So how we used to have debate, we had one debate in Dharamsala, right? Then we took the same car, Maruti Suzuki, and drove to Delhi in the same car. Okay, I'm contesting with him, against him. Same car. We got one hotel room in Delhi. We shared the same room. Next day we had same breakfast. And people looking at us and say, look at these people. We are fighting for each other, one or candidate or the other. They're enjoying themselves having breakfast together. Right? So what happens is when you share same car, share same hotel and eat breakfast together, opposition candidates and the ruling party candidates, you save a lot of money. Yes? Don't you think it's a good formula for politicians here in West Bengal and around the world? This is how we practice. There's a healthy competition. We let people decide, not by fighting, but by giving them choice. So I'm proud to say, Tibetan issue is one of the biggest issues in the world, primarily because of His Holiness Dalai Lama. How many of you know about Dalai Lama? Please raise your hands. Yes. But how many of you know that there is a Tibetan government exile in Dharamsala? How many of you know? Oh, here. Very few. Oh, you're from Himachal or something?
I'm from around Darjeeling.
Acha, yeah. Which part of Darjeeling? Now he's from Siliguri, from plain, but he's claiming I'm from Pahar also, Oh, which one? St. Joseph. Chicken eating school. Why I say this is I studied in Tibetan refugee school. Facilities are very poor. You get one barter shoe, one cotton pant, and one cotton shirt. So as you can see from my height, right? Every year my height increased by inch or 2. But once you wash that government subsidized pant, cotton pant, each time you wash it, it shrinks by 1 inch. I'm increasing in height, but my pant is shrinking. I had only one pair for whole year. So sometimes the elder senior students, they still use barter shoe. Then I had only chappal for whole year. Darjeeling is very cold. That's how I grew up. So I get only dal and bhat every day for lunch. And sabji and tingmo every day for dinner. Sabji, when I say sabji, it's just watery. 2 bangan or 2 aloo or 2 gobi, that's it. That's how I grew up. And I said, I'm from a normal basti, So we just had 1 acre of land, 2 cows, 1 dozen chicken. So there are so many people. I know how to milk cows. Any of you know how to milk cows?
No.
Clean cow dungs?
No.
नहीं. अरे काऊ तो भगवान है, उनका सेवा करना चाहिए. मैंने सेवा किया हुआ है. सब मानते हैं वो भगवान है कि नहीं? हाँ, काऊ तो भगवान है. उनको प्यार तो कोई नहीं करता. हमने किया है, साफ किया है, दाना दिया है, घास काटे उसके लिए. तो फिर everybody does prayer from the far. हाँ, पर नजदीक आते भाग जाते हैं ऐसे. So my point is, now I'm writing a book. I wrote my dissertation on democracy in exile, comparative government all around the world. So I got the best dissertation award at Harvard Law School. Not bad, huh? Gaon ka larka, going to Harvard, getting, and I wrote my dissertation, I got the best award. And I got, appreciation, good. Okay, if you appreciate, then I'll tell you another joke. It's my story though. So I did not speak English at all. Tibetan is a Tibetan medium school. We don't speak English. English vocabulary very poor. But I was very good at memorizing. Huh? 1 page, 5 page, आधे घंटे memorize करके, I can stand in front of people, I can recite. So there was a debate competition in Darjeeling town. You know Darjeeling? How many of you know Darjeeling? They're a very famous school. St. Paul's, Mount Hermon, Loreto Convent, you all know, they are all chicken eating schools. हमारा दाल भात, दाल भी पत्थर होता है, भात तो राशन का भात है, हाँ? But debate I used to win. English school को छोड़ दो भाई, पीछे छोड़ देते. I used to win. Then I won the Darjeeling district. Siliguri से लेके, Dor से लेके, Kalimpong, Khersang, everything. I won all the schools. Then I came to Calcutta. I came twice. I got 8. Because Bengal है ना, सब Bengali को दे दिया prize, हाँ. Bangla speaking won all the prizes. I'm just joking. But I became state level debater. But as I said, my English was very bad. But I'm very good at memorizing. I memorized, and the St. Paul school said, my goodness, you spoke such good English. When they asked me a question, I have no idea how to answer it. So from there, I went to Delhi, Hansraj College. Then I went to law school in Delhi. So this is the story. I was first year in Delhi Campus Law Center. There was one boy, one student. He was very popular. All the beautiful girls went to him. All the boys went to him. And I said, who's this boy? Who's this? He said, he's Chaudhary. I said, who is Chaudhary? Don't you know? He's the prince of the campus. Why he is prince of the campus? He is going to Harvard Law School next year. He's going to Harvard Law School. What is Harvard Law School? It's the best law school in the world. I said, मेरे को भी जाना है, मेरे को भी प्रिंस बनना है. मेरा इंग्लिश नहीं है, कुछ नहीं, मेरे को बनना है. After 3 years, I applied to 9 law schools in America. All rejected me. And then I said, they are wrong, I'm right. I applied again. After that, 8 out of 9 schools accepted me. And I chose Harvard. And at Harvard, as I told you, no, I got the best dissertation. Gaon ka chokra. I'm competing with the best and the brightest from all over the world. Sheer determination. So you all are professors, faculty members, you all teach. But one thing, my suggestion to you all is, we often say, you should have plan A and you need plan B. Wrong. मेरे जिंदगी में प्लान बी, 9 मील गांव, 2 गाय, 1 एकड़ of land, प्लान बी तो हो ही नहीं सकता. And only plan A. Plan A, Delhi University, plan A, Harvard, plan A, Harvard dissertation, best dissertation, fellow, that's how. But I got everything I wanted. But then decided to come back. Work for 37 rupees a month. Then, pardon?
37,000.
37,000 rupees, yeah. Then I served for 10 years. I ran for second time. I got 69% of the vote. And then 2021, 2 terms limit. Yeah, Bengal jaisa nahi hai. West Bengal jaisa. When I was growing up, Jyoti Basu and Chief Minister is synonymous. Colgate was toothpaste, not toothpaste, Colgate. Jyoti Basu Chief Minister 25 saal tak. Jyoti Basu. 35 years. Tabi to. But in the Tibetan community, 2 terms limit. 25. Ruby ji, you're wrong. I'm right.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, see? See, now Bangla lady doesn't know, I know,
Yeah, more than Bengali. Even in America, it is 2 years.
Yeah, 2 terms limit. Because of 2 terms limit, I finished. Then I went back, because you all are faculty members. I went back in 2021. So I went back as a senior fellow, and my mentor asked me whether I want to teach. I've never taught. Teaching is very difficult. You have to do research, prepare course. Speech I can do. Bhashan de sakte, 1 ghante, 2 ghante I can get away with. I said, I don't know. He said, you should teach. And I taught. So since 2022, I've been teaching at Harvard. So I'm a lecturer now. You can Google my name, Harvard Law School, put my name. You can see my bio. So 2022 I taught. 2023 I taught. So you have to apply to teach. I got fellowship. That's different. You have apply. So first year it took 6 weeks to approve. Second year it took 5 weeks to approve. Now I'm offered this year. This year it took only 1 week to approve. You know why? Now after you teach, in America there's student evaluation. Very strict. 30 questions. They will tell you whether you smile or whether you are strict. Everything they ask and they write. And its transcript is published in the academic world. 2024. My professor checked, where is your student evaluation? I said, I don't know. Where is it? I don't know, because I was not interested in teaching. You told me to teach. I've been teaching. And he checked. You can also check. You know my student evaluation? 9.6 out of 10 for 2 years in a row. So my professor said, I've been teaching my whole life. I don't get 9. You're getting 9.6. So, कुछ भी हो सकता है जिंदगी में, हाँ? So, I'm supposed to talk about government exile. Now I'm writing a book on this. And then now I'm also helping or consulting, advising in other exile communities. There are 137 million refugees, of which 35 million are political refugees. There are 7 million Venezuelans, 2 million Iranians, and so on and so forth, a million Afghans, so on and so forth. There are so many, 35 million. Among all these refugees, political communities, Tibetan government exile is the best run government. So India should be proud. And West Bengal also should be proud. Because Darjeeling ka chokra, West Bengal say, he ran the government exile for 10 years, no? And I'm also advising Belarusians and Nicaraguan, of course Hong Kongers and Uyghurs. So this book will be a manual on how to establish and run democratic government exile. Now I'll end with this, democracy, okay? Now in the last 30 years, this is the question I'm trying to address. In the last 30 years, democracy has backslided. Now there are more non-democratic countries in the world than democratic countries. Isn't it surprising, right? Now interestingly, in the last 30 years, the funding for democracy has increased from $2 billion a year to $10 billion a year to promote democracy. So funding has increased 5 times. Organizations that fight for and advocate democracy has increased from 10,000 organizations to 75,000 organizations. Experts and consultants to promote democracy has increased from 20,000 to 100,000. So everything is increasing, but democracy is decreasing. Right? And I said, now you got it wrong. So my argument is that when you say democracy, is there anyone who teaches political science and democracy? No one? Okay. At Vivekananda University, no one teaches political science? Now, democracy, definition of democracy, democracy assumes state. No state, no democracy. And I said, that's fundamentally wrong. Democracy in exile contradicts that. If you don't study democracy in exile, you will never understand democracy back home, because who you are in exile, you become back home. For example, we know Syria. Recently this armed conflict ended and Mr. Mohammed has become the interim president. Now the question is, will Syria become democratic? What do you think? Huh? Now, based on analysis, I say no. Because he was Al-Qaeda member before. He was an Islamicist. He is a military ruler, military leader. With that background, who you are in exile, you become back home. For example, Lenin, he was Bolshevik in exile. He became Bolshevik back home. Gandhi started Ahimsa in exile, became Ahimsa when he came back home, right? So, and there are a lot of exile leaders. Who you are in exile, you become back home. So if you don't train or learn democracy while you're in exile, when you go back home, you won't bring democracy. So you should know democracy in exile. You should know governance, because we have removed many dictators in the world. Yes? The Arab Spring, the Egyptian leader Hosni Mubarak was a dictator. He was removed. But who is replaced with? General Sisi. He is worse than Mubarak. And Tunisia, the leader was removed. Who he replaced with? Worse than before. So we all are taught to remove dictators, but not replace them. So they keep coming back. So if you want to remove and replace them, you must learn democracy in exile. You must learn how to govern. You must know finance policy, education policy, agriculture policy, so that when you go back, you can run the departments, you can run cabinet, you can run parliament, you can run election. If you don't have experience, one example, you know Poland. Father of Poland democracy is Lech Walesa. He fought for democracy and he brought democracy in Poland, right? And he was also given the Nobel Peace Prize. So he's that popular, okay? So he became the first president of democratic Poland, right? Now what happened? After one term, he lost the election. And second term, he tried to run again. He got only 1% of the vote. Can you be father of Polish democracy? Because he didn't know how to govern. He was a labor union leader. He didn't know how to govern and he lost. So, had Lech Walesa learned how to run, had basics of election campaigning, all that, then you can govern. So this is the challenge we are facing. So that's why, democracy in exile is very important. And again, let me conclude by saying, Tibetan government exile is the best government exile. All other communities are coming to study. Research has been done. Books are being written on this. So as someone who is in India, we all should be proud of what Tibetans have done, but on the soil of India. So with that, I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. A very engaging and enriching speech from sir. Now I would like to call Madam, who is an eminent lawyer from Central Council of Global Policy and Research, in collaboration with which we are arranged this conversation. Ma'am, please just few words from your side. Just 2 lines. Free Tibet, free world, free India. You know what? China is not our border state. You have heard of Indo-Tibet border police, not Indo-China border police. We share our border with Tibet. If Tibet is free, India will be free and India will be fearless, because we cannot trust on China. As sir said, Hindi chini bye, afterward it is bye-bye. So we don't want bye-bye. Tibet has a long and very ancient heritage. They have done it with India. Ashoka, right from Ashoka till now. So we say free Tibet, and that is what we want. And we have to be aware about Tibet so that we can join hands. Thank you.
So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Few questions, yes.
Any questions? Please feel free to ask any question.
Everyone's looking at lunchtime. 15 minutes, 15 minutes. No, I'm just joking.
We are enjoying your speech.
I have questions. Did your this have any particular religion?
Particular religion. Yes. Our parliament is represented by 5 Buddhist sects and 3 regions. There's election, but then its seats are divided among regions, 10 seats each, and 5 Buddhist sects have 2 representation. So that's how it. So all our religious sects and all the provinces are represented in the parliament.
Is there any place of other communities or other religion? What is become a part of your?
No, only Tibetans are allowed. Yeah. And you must be a green book holder. So our election is also very funny. We charge you freedom tax. You pay freedom tax, then only you can vote. So you don't pay, you don't vote. But Tibetans are paying to vote. In India, it's opposite. They pay you, so you vote, no? We people have to pay the government, then only you can vote. Here, candidates pay you to vote, no? We can't say that. No. Cut.
Any more questions from the faculty?
Okay, let me, end. If you don't have any question, let me end. Yeah. What is the future? Yes, you're right. Now, it's very important because if you look at the map of Tibet, okay, one Panchsheel was signed. When similar agreement was signed, McMahon line was drafted. That's border between Arunachal. Understanding was that the Tibet will be the buffer zone between China and Tibet. So as long as Tibet is a buffer, China and India, as long as Tibet is a buffer, India is protected. So that's why the similar agreement was signed, whereby Chinese ambassador agreed and signed the draft. The final draft, the Chinese ambassador did not agree because they did not agree with the border demarcation between Tibet and China. But the Chinese did not object the border demarcation between India and Tibet. They didn't object. Nowadays they say, no, we don't accept, China said, we don't accept similar agreement. We never accepted. That's not true. China accepted the border between India and Tibet. But they did not agree with the border between Tibet and China. But they agreed at the draft session, but the final did not. Now, it's a long border from Kashmir, Ladakh, all the way to Arunachal Pradesh. So there was not even a single inch of border between India and China. It was all Tibet. So when Chinese army invaded Tibet, the finance minister of Tibet wrote to the government of India at that time, India should support us and protect us. If you don't, India will suffer. And at that time, Indian government recognized China and recognized Tibet as an autonomous region of China, thinking, if we can lose Tibet, but India will be Hindi China, bye-bye. Now, the finance minister of Tibet wrote letters saying, at the moment, for the McMahon line border, we have only 80 troops, only 80. Now, how many Indian troops are there at the border? 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh, 4 lakh, 5 lakhs. More than 5 lakhs. Just at Galwan, there were 1.5 lakhs each other. Doklam, 50,000. Can you imagine 2,500 kilometers long border? How much money India is spending? Billions of dollars. Thousands of crores. That money could have been spent on education, on health, or on road, anything. But now, because India lost Tibet, Chinese army has come. You have to spend all this money. So India has been losing money all these years. Also, China said, we have to occupy Tibet. Tibet is the palm. And after that, we go after 5 fingers. Ladakh, Nepal, Bhutan, Sikkim and Arunachal. So China is keep coming into these 5 fingers. Still, some people in government India think, nahi, Hindi China bye-bye ho sakta hai. Na mumkin hai. They are coming up. So Galwan happened, Doklam happened, even in Arunachal now, right? Now China is in Nepal. China is in Bangladesh. China is in Sri Lanka. China obviously is a weather-tested friend of Pakistan. China is in Maldives. Remember, the present party of Maldives, when they won election, they said, we want all the Indian officials to get out of Maldives. And we want Chinese to come. And in Nepal also, one party, Oli, Communist Party, is allied with China. Now they all are out, but they ally with China. One party alliance with India. Bangladesh, one party alliance with China, one party alliance with India. Sri Lanka. So China does not respect India. They come to your territory. अखंड भारत तो छोड़ो वो मानते नहीं है भारत के अंदर आकर. So all the terrorists are using AK-47 made in China. We should remember this. So this is the tragedy Of course, we lost our country, but continuous tragedy in India, an incursion, all the money that's being spent is because of China. So Tibet freedom is in the interest of India. Without Tibet as free, there is no security for India. Reoccupy Tibet? No. Support Tibet. So say, Tibet is a buffer zone. It's a buffer zone. So, we get our security with a buffer zone. So India can support Tibet. Not occupy, but support. Yeah. And future, Tibetans are still fighting. It's been 60 years. China is not able to destroy us. We are still standing. And Tibetans around the world, including inside Tibet. One tragically, 137 Tibetans burned themselves. Sacrifice. That shows how determined they are. Abibi. Self-immolation. And then there are protests after protest. And we are rebuilding monasteries in Tibet. Chinese destroy, we rebuild. It's a continuous efforts and resistance that's going on. So Tibetans will keep fighting our fight, non-violently, peacefully, but with truth. So I came here today to Vivekananda so that I could share the story of Tibet. Story of Tibet is story of India. I am supposed to talk about government exile. Now I am writing a book on this. And then now I'm also helping or consulting, advising other exile communities. There are 137 million refugees, of which 35 million are political refugees. There are 7 million Venezuelans, 2 million Iranians, and so on and so forth, a million Afghans, so on and so forth. There are so many, 35 million. Among all these refugees, political communities, Tibetan government exile is the best run government. So India should be proud. And West Bengal also should be proud. Because Darjeeling ka chokra, West Bengal say he ran the government exile for 10 years, no? And I'm also advising Belarusians and Nicaraguan, of course Hong Kongers and Uyghurs. So this book will be a manual on how to establish and run democratic government exile. Now I'll end with this, democracy, okay? Now in the last 30 years, this is the question I'm trying to address. In the last 30 years, democracy has backslided. Now there are more non-democratic countries in the world than democratic countries. Isn't it surprising, right? Now interestingly, in the last 30 years, the funding for democracy has increased from $2 billion a year to $10 billion a year to promote democracy. So funding has increased 5 times. Organizations that fight for and advocate democracy has increased from 10,000 organizations to 75,000 organizations. Experts and consultants to promote democracy has increased from 20,000 to 100,000. So everything is increasing, but democracy is decreasing. Right? And I said, now you got it wrong. So my argument is that when you say democracy, is there anyone who teaches political science and democracy? No one? Okay. At Vivekananda University, no one teaches political science? Now, democracy, definition of democracy, democracy assumes state. No state, no democracy. And I said, that's fundamentally wrong. Democracy in exile contradicts that. If you don't study democracy in exile, you will never understand democracy back home, because who you are in exile, you become back home. For example, we know Syria. Recently, this armed conflict ended, and Mr. Mohammed has become the interim president. Now the question is, will Syria become democratic? What do you think? Huh? Now, based on analysis, I say no. Because he was Al-Qaeda member before. He was an Islamicist. He is a military ruler, military leader. With that background, who you are in exile, you become back home. For example, Lenin, he was Bolshevik in exile. He became Bolshevik back home. Gandhi started Ahimsa in exile, became Ahimsa when he came back home. right? So, and there are a lot of exile leaders who you are in exile, you become back home. So if you don't train or learn democracy while you're in exile, when you go back home, you won't bring democracy. So you should know democracy in exile. You should know governance, because we have removed many dictators in the world. Yes? The Arab Spring, the Egyptian leader Hosni Mubarak was a dictator. He was removed. But who is replaced with? General Sisi. He is worse than Mubarak. And Tunisia, the leader was removed. Who he replaced with? Worse than before. So we all are taught to remove dictators, but not replace them. So they keep coming back. So if you want to remove and replace them, you must learn democracy in exile. You must learn how to govern. You must know finance policy, education policy, agriculture policy, so that when you go back, you can run the departments, you can run cabinet, you can run parliament, you can run election. If you don't have experience, one example, you know Poland. Father of Poland democracy is Lech Walesa. He fought for democracy and he brought democracy in Poland, right? And he was also given the Nobel Peace Prize. So he's that popular, okay? So he became the first president of democratic Poland, right? Now what happened? After one term, he lost the election. And second term, he tried to run again. He got only 1% of the vote. Can you be the father of Polish democracy? Because he didn't know how to govern. He was a labor union leader. He didn't know how to govern and he lost. So, had Lech Walesa learned how to run, had basics of election campaigning, all that, then you can govern. So this is the challenge we are facing. So that's why, democracy in exile is very important. And again, let me conclude by saying, Tibetan government exile is the best government exile. All other communities are coming to study. Research has been done. Books are being written on this. So as someone who is in India, we all should be proud of what Tibetans have done, but on the soil of India. So with that, I just want to say thank you very much.